Everybody, and welcome to the Loathing of Kingdoms at cool.com. I am Frank, and
I am Daniel.
yes.
We're coming at you live this evening with a riveting broadcast
Oh, wait,
of the most
shoot.
action-packed browser-based RPG this side of the Rio Grande.
And you can see at the top of the screen that usually when we do this, I'm playing Dark Souls 2's Scholar of the First Sin. I don't know if I can... Yeah, there's the game name. Let's change that to Kingdom of Loathing. There we go. Yeah, alright. Solid. Liking it. So, what we have for you today is that I'm going to be running us through the challenge path of the season, the Gelatinous Noob, starting us off in the Pearly Gates in Valhalla, Beyond the Pale, and yeah. So, I just finished up a softcore Gelatinous Noob in Ascension. I was going for the new trophy, the Gelatinous Hubris trophy for collecting all 125 Gelatinous Noob skills in a single run. And so that's why I've got the 161 karma here. It took me a week or so to get that, which you'll be able to check up for yourself on KOLDB if you care. I'm going to select a couple of skills to make hardcore permanent because I've been collecting them. And we're, yeah. Call it Disco
nice.
Greed. Mm-hmm.
Is that hardcore permanent? Very good. Very good.
Yes, I've got... if you check up on my cheese cookie profile page, you'll see that I've got rather a lot of things softcore permed, and you can see that here too. So let's
Good lord.
Right forward. Now, in the Gelatinous Noob challenge path, you can't eat or drink or use spleen items, so I'm not going to get any of these. And equipment doesn't have any effects, so I'm not going to get any of these either. Just saving up that karma for some sweet, sweet skills later on. I'll be doing a hardcore run. Generally play as a female character, and class doesn't matter. So, got this sweet, sweet looking Gelatinous Noob up here. And the Gelatinous Noob is a Moxie sign. So, I'll be choosing a Moxie constellation. Got Moon sign, there we go. Gelatinous Noob is a Moxie class. We're going to get right on through here. So, prior to entering the Gelatinous Noob path, you come across this text here. And if you've completed a Gelatinous Noob incarnation in the past, then you have a selection of all the skills that you had in the previous run. I don't know if it carries on, like, am I going to have a selection of 125 skills every time that I do this? I have no idea. But, No?
I said, wow.
Yeah. So I'm going to check up real quick here and see which ones of these I want to... are going to be hardest for me to get myself. And actually that's overthinking it a little bit. I got the stuff that I wanted to get prior to. So, getting the large intestine, the stomach-like thing, and the rudimentary alimentary canal. No, not that. Small intestine. There we go. And that should be all that I have available now. You get 2 skills that you can bring in with you per hardcore ascension and 1 per softcore ascension, and I've done 1 of each. So, it's time to become human.
Or something like it.
Yeah, or something like it. It's time to want to become human.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that took as long as it did is because I am running KOL Mafia in the background. You may recognize some things in here. And this run, I'm going to be doing a 100% gelatinous cube link familiar run. So let's find the cube link. There we go. Because why not? It sounds like a great idea. It'll be a lot of fun. So I've got my gelatinous noob with the gelatinous cube link. And then the next thing to do here is to level up a bit to cheat at the deck of every cards. I'm going to be doing that through the KOL Mafia interface, so you're not going to be able to see it, but the item that I'm using here is the deck of every card, which is an item of the month from, I don't know, a couple of years ago. And so it gives you the option to draw 15 cards if you do it randomly, or use 5 card charges at a time if you want to control what you're getting. And so what I'm going to be getting is a bunch of Moxie stats, and that'll jump me up to level 5 immediately prior to playing a single turn. And then, because these would take me a little bit out of my way, I'm not necessarily the best ascender, but this would take me a little bit out of the way, is I'm going to get the tower keys, Boris, Jarlsbergs, and Sneaky Pete's keys. And I'm going to have to get those each one day at a time. I can't get them all right now. So, just a sec. And then after that, I'm also going to be getting some ores, asbestos, chrome, and linoleum ores for the level 8 quest, because those would also be quite out of my way. Alright, so those
does
are...
everyone start with these basic items, or is this something specific to the run, or what?
Okay, so that's a great question. Everything that you see in my inventory right now is because of either items of the month that I've purchased in the past. These are of what we see here: the deck of every card, the time spinner, and the fishing pole. The detuned radio is something that you get that you can buy immediately because of the Degrassi Knoll moon signs. And what that's going to do is I'm going to be able to turn up the monster level, which increases the monster's difficulty that I encounter, but also increases my substat gain from them. And for each amount of substats that I gain, I'm going to be able to increase my main stats here. The Baconstone, Amethyst, and Porpoise are items that Mafia automatically collects for me, as is the disassembled clover. The Cop Dollars also, and that's also because of an item of the month that I purchased earlier. That's the do-it-yourself detective kit or something like that. I've played this game so much that I can barely even remember what the names of all the items are.
Well, there are a crap ton of them, so...
Yeah, getting on
be forgiven.
10,000 or more, possibly. Yeah. And then the Interesting Clod of Dirt, the Dirty Bottle Cap, and the Discarded Button are all items that I get specifically because of the challenge path that I'm doing. And if I absorb them, which I'm not going to do, then I will gain some specific skills, passives, that I can only access as a gelatinous noob.
And you're not going to absorb them, why?
Because I can get better skills.
Okay.
Those are relatively low priority skills. So...
Does it take an adventure to absorb them, or what?
No, actually, they give adventures. That's the way that you generate adventures in this path, is by absorbing items that you haven't absorbed, or absorbing items. And if you absorb an item that has a skill that you don't have yet associated with it, then you gain that skill. And if you absorb an item that has that you've already got the skill that it would give you. It gives you 5 extra adventures and also some stats, I think.
That sounds pretty fun.
Yeah, it's a very, very interesting way to play because you don't have any combat skills in this. You're just depending on your high moxie and a ranged weapon to plink your opponents to death. And so I'm going to equip those. And because the equipment here doesn't have any direct effects, like, for example, the gold detective badge here is not actually going to give me extra HP, max HP, max MP item drops or meat. It's been automatically equipped because of KOL Mafia, which simplifies so many things. I'm definitely the kind of player that likes having it. However, those are standard types of enchantments on this item. Non-standard types of enchantments include the KOL Snow Globe, which will give you some extra stats and possibly items after each fight that you win. Otherwise, these items this equipment is only useful in the power statistic, which reduces how much damage I take, or if it's on a weapon, increases how much damage I deal. Then the Protonic Accelerator pack here, this is a Ghostbusters reference, and it was also a previous item of the month. And the only thing that this is going to do for me is to allow me to bust ghosts, which will indeed make me feel very good. Those are free adventures. They'll give some interesting equipment, some of which will also be useful to me, and it also gives me some extra stats. Because it's a free adventure, it's optimal to take advantage of.
Most excellent.
Mm-hmm. So I actually realized just a few seconds ago that I should not have auto-sold the Bacon Stone because that would have given me a useful skill.
Bummer.
It's not so bad. The last thing that I'm going to do before I actually get started with my adventures is I'm going to pick a tea from my potted tea tree, which was a KOL con item a while ago. I'm not going to gather from my thanks garden because I want to let that accumulate. It progresses in an interesting way. Now I could get 3 random teas from the tea tree, or I could pick one, much like the deck of every card. And what I'm going to be picking here is the Cup of Royalty because I have still not received the item that you get, like the Royal Scepter or something, which is an offhand item that gives you extra adventures and a buff if you wear it at rollover. And if we go to the Muse, go to the museum, and head up to the 4th floor, then it shows current royalty. I am username Snaz. The person with the most royalty at the end of a given week will receive the Royal Scepter. And so I'm a bit down the ways here. It's going to be several weeks because people keep buying a whole bunch of Cup of Royalties and using them to top the chart here.
Wow, you're pretty high though.
Yeah. But keep in mind, this has also been a few years, or at least 1 year anyway, since the item was released, and I've been keeping up with it decently, not perfectly. Haven't played a number of days, which is why my number is actually as low as it is, but I've been pretty good about remembering it, so I'm hoping to get it by the end of this year. Hoping. Used. Keeps buying them up. Alright, so with all of that done, I'm going to go and see what the council wants me to do. Now, for this path, they have changed all of the quest-giving text to reflect that I am a horrifying conglomeration of sludge. And they're actually much nicer about it than they have been in the past. In the Avatar of West of Loathing, which is sort of a promo path, or was a promo path for Asymmetric's next project, West of Loathing. They were really, really mean. Like, they thought that I was just cowboy trash. But this time they seem to be scared enough to at least be polite. Although they do call me the Blob Venturer, and we're not sure how we feel about that. So, I don't know. Should I read this stuff? Probably not. You can all read it and pause the live stream or something. Come back and read it on your own. Or start an account and play the game, because it's a fun game. There's a lot of stuff going on in here, and even though I'm not necessarily reading the text myself, I did enjoy it when I read it the first few hundred times.
Now, when you start a new account, can you do the gelatinous nude path, or you have to ascend once?
You have to ascend once, and it will take a while, but if you play semi-regularly and start to really go through and understand the mechanics, then you should be able to get there relatively quickly. And by the way, if you are watching this and you are considering starting an account and you start getting into the trophies, for the love of God, don't start them all right now. Once your character has advanced a ways, then it'll be much, much easier for you to pick them up. And if you join up into a clan, which is the local equivalent of a guild, it's a unfortunate choice of words, but there was already a guild in the game, and so they had to find a synonym. The reason that I'm recommending this is because my first runs were 225, 212 days, and that's because I was trying to get the level 30 trophies in my first two runs, and it's just so much easier to do all of that later.
Wow. Yeah, that's a long run.
Yes, it was very, very long, and I'm much better at the game now. I can't remember when I got, for example, the accordion thief max level. Goodness, where did this happen? I can't remember when I got the max level, or not max level, level 30 trophies for a bunch of different classes, but I did, and it was after my character had advanced a bit, and it was so much less time. Anyway.
Gotcha.
Yes, you would have to complete one ascension in order to start life as a gelatinous noob. It's worth it. I really like this game. I mean, I've done 200 ascensions. So, that all being said, I don't actually want to be in the distant woods. I want to be on the nearby plains.
Congratulations on breaking 200.
Thank you. Yeah, this is Ascension 201 right now. Everybody's lucky who's watching. And yes, thank you. I realized that I was doing and completing my 200th ascension, and it felt real good. So, what I'm doing now is I'm going to be adventuring in Cobb's Knob, which is a entry-level area. It's not... it's the monsters here are not tough. And the reason that I'm going to be...
would you say they're not hard?
Yes, I would say that the knob isn't really hard yet.
But it is entry-level.
Yes, it is. It's good. That's not actually inappropriate for the tone of the game either. There's a whole bunch of penis references all throughout the game. For example, if we want to go back to the familiars for a sec, all of the gravy fairies are supposed to be penises with wings.
I know exactly what you're talking about, but I never... It's a mushroom. Looks like a mushroom to me, so...
Yeah. It was a very subtle thing, but it's definitely there.
They're as phallic as mushrooms.
Yes, that's exactly right. So, Yeah. Excuse me. The reason that I'm going to be going through Cobb's Knob is because that is a required area to progress in the game. In fact, why don't I start doing it now? Oh, I should remember to auto attack my pickpocketing. Yeah, a pick. So it's gonna take 10 fights, and then on the 11th adventure in here. Ooh, yay! This is exactly what I wanted. On the 11th adventure in Cobb's Knob, I will get something that's required for the level 5 quest. And then I can.
It's always on the 11th adventure.
Yes, that is hard coded into the game.
Okay.
So, this is a very lucky thing for me that the ghost busting gets me this specific adventure. Because. Where is it? There's the Haunted Kitchen. The Frigid Derringer that's right here is a relatively high damage weapon, and the first time that I hit an enemy, it will stun them for up to 3 turns, unless they're stun resistant. Now, I can't just fight the Ice Woman to get it, I have to fight her in a very specific way. And that is that I want to stun her, and so I'm using the love bugs that I got. It was also an item of the month that was a while ago. And the reason that I'm stunning her is because when I shoot her with the Protonic Accelerator pack, she will just... If I don't stun her, she will get angry and hit me much harder than she normally would. So because I'm stunning her, I'm not taking any damage. And I can shoot her, and trap her. And then she gives me the Frigid Derringer. And so, yeah, I feel real good. It's a solid start to the run.
Do you think she'll let it go?
Do
you think she'll let it go? This transgression of yours?
Yeah. Well, she did get locked in the fridge because she killed a bunch of people. So I'm hoping that I don't have to encounter her later, that she won't come and find me. But because she's a ghost, I'm thinking that she both won't let it go and also won't be able to do anything about it because she's haunting a fridge. Alright, so back to Cobb's Knob.
Interesting mechanic, though.
Mm-hmm.
No, I noticed there was like a love mosquito and a love stink bug.
Ah, yes. So would you like to see what they do?
Sure.
So the gnats are stun, and then the stink bug is passive damage. It starts up a damage that continues for the rest of the fight. And it gets divided into physical and stench-aligned damage. And because these things only have 1 hit point... Oh, I should use that detuned radio. Because those enemies only have 1 hit point, it's really, really trivial to kill them. And if you want to draw the fight out, you have to avoid doing any damage.
I don't remember being able to see the hit points and the attack strength and all that.
That is because of 2 things. First, I'm using Mafia, which would give you a guess, plus or minus, I think, 10% of what the monster's stats are. But also, okay. I've got an item of the Forever. If I go to Mr. Store, I can show you. The Monster Manual is an excellent purchase if you're interested in stats and being able to know exactly what this fight is going to take. It gives you little factoids about each of the monsters that you fight, but it also, the first time that you kill them, it exposes in the base game, not with Mafia, but in the base game, how many hit points the monster has, as well as its elemental alignment, its attack, its defense, what type of monster it is. Like, is it a humanoid? Is it a demi-human? Is it an elemental? And what its initiative is. And I can show you that once I get back into the fight. But before I do that, I'm going to go to the Manuel interface and show you what kinds of things I have fought, and also there's 3 factoids for each monster that you fight. And sometimes, if you're only meant to fight it a single time, they won't include factoids. Like, for example, a boss for a world event. And those monsters also won't have factoids. They won't have stats that ever get exposed because you only fight it once. These question marks here both indicate that the monster scales to your stats, that its attack power will equal your moxie, possibly +7 or +20, possibly the same, and the defense power will equal your muscle, and then the HP would equal your muscle times 70%, I think, something like that. And
This looks remarkably like a Pokédex.
It.
I wonder if they have like a frat bro Pokemon at this point. Like, they probably should.
I'm pretty sure that they do. There's definitely. Oh, frat bro Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, I don't know. Where's the frats? Got some more frat boys. Okay. So, actually going through and playing this Ascension that I'm telling you so much about. This is one of the oldest items in the kingdom. It unlocks a specific archaic quest where if you equip a certain set of items and then use the map, then you will lose one item and gain an item that's slightly more powerful. And if you don't meet those conditions, if you don't have those things equipped, then it will inflict some damage on you. It's not really worth following through. It's not important items, especially when the only thing that I care about is item power, not item enchantments.
So basically, old boring quest did no bother.
Yeah, don't bother.
I wonder what his shape was intended to look like, or if that's just kind of random.
Whose shape?
Dr. Hobo Jones.
Oh yeah, there are a lot of things in this game that are randomized. For example, the monster stats and such, but the images are generally not. This is that I've got up right now is the Halloweener. It's a ghost dog, much like the one in Nightmare Before Christmas. And I typically tend to... Actually, let me back up. What the Halloweener does is it interrupts you with free non-combat adventures that give you some kind of boon. There's 3 standardized adventures that you get between 5 and 7 adventures in a given zone, and then I think 15 and 20, and then every 50 adventures thereafter. And then some zones will have the 5 and 7 or the 15 and 20 adventure replaced with something that is more appropriate to that zone. There's also some 50 adventure replacements. The one that I typically go for at the beginning of the run is to boost my stats. I could also have gotten some other stuff, but I don't tend to find that it is as advantageous for my semi-casual style of play.
Best friendship.
You acquired the effect Adventure's Best Friendship.
Oh, yes.
What is that?
So that is that I taught my Halloweener dog some tricks, and in return he's taught me about the power of friendship. It gives me plus 50% to all of my attributes. This is kind of funny. The Ring of Detect Boring Doors. This is an item that you get from the Gelatinous Cubeling, which itself is an item that you get from putting a whole bunch of extra runs into the daily dungeon. And the Ring of Detect Boring Doors, what it does is it allows you to skip some adventures in the daily dungeon. And specifically, it lets you skip advent 2 adventures after each treasure room, and so you can take the treasure, leave without the treasure, or if you have the ring of detect boring doors, leave through the boring door and skip a couple of extra adventures. So it saves you some adventures in the daily dungeon. If you use all 3 items from the gelatinous cubeling, it lets you take, I don't know, 3 or 4 adventures through the daily dungeon instead of 15. It's pretty handy to have.
Would you bother with the daily dungeon in a speed run, or?
Not with my item of the month loadout. Because of my deck of every card, I do not need the things that the daily dungeon would let me get, because I have another source for them, which is the deck of every card.
Righto.
Yeah. So this bone with a price tag on it is an item that lets me open up a new zone. It's not actually necessary, because if I go to the market square, then the meatsmith also gives me access to the same place. And he gives me a reward if I go through a couple of non-combats for him. And I'm not going to do that because this is a speed run, but there are some other items that I can get from those zones that could be helpful because of my Protonic Accelerator pack. That it would give me ghosts to bust in the 3 zones that I just unlocked, and in most runs they'd be pretty nice to have. In this run, not so much. But it's taken me a heck of a long time to get through this knob. There we go. So, earlier when I first visited the council, they gave me the encrypted Knobgoblin note, and so now I've got the encryption key. And so if I use the map, and this link is only here because of Mafia, then it unlocks the rest of Cobb's Knob. And this is a very useful place to be, especially if I can get the Cobb's Knob key lets me into the laboratories, and if I get a specific outfit enabled non-combat from the barracks here, then I'll be able to buy some potions that give me some useful buffs later on in the run. Now that this is unlocked, though, I'm not actually going to adventure in here just yet. I've got some other stuff that I want to do first. Specifically, I'm going to find the mosquito larva in the spooky forest. So, adventuring through here. These monsters are slightly more difficult, not substantially. They will have 2 or 3 health instead of 1, and 3 or 4 monster level instead of 2. So, just going right on through here. In this area, you have you want to boost your non-combat encounter rate as much as you can.
So that you can get the mosquito larva sooner?
So you can get the mosquito larva sooner, and also so that you can get, access to the hidden temple sooner. And I do this because I'm too impatient with the yelling guy to, who's not showing up yet, to unlock it his way.
How do you typically boost your non-combats?
There's some non-combat skills that you can make permanent from the Accordion Thief and the Disco Bandit that will boost that stat. And it actually makes a pretty substantial impact. Those are high priority skills to make permanent.
Now,
But
do you have to activate those, or is this passive?
they are activated. I have to spend MP for them. This
Okay.
specific... the gelatinous noob is not very MP intensive. I can basically ignore this stat for most intents throughout the run. There's a... actually, let's go to the skills page here. So I can heal myself for about 12 to 15 health per cast of Gelatinous Reconstruction. And then all of my other skills are either combat skills with the Gelatinous Punch, Headbutt, and Kick, or passive skills such as these ones, and I'll be getting others later in the run. I just don't want to get them yet because introductions and such. But the non-combats in the spooky forest where I am currently adventuring are also hard-coded that if you do not... Every time that you get a non-combat, it sets a timer such that you will get a non-combat no more than 8 turns from then. Of course, you can encounter them more frequently than that, but that would be based on chance. And they want to make sure that you have the ability to speed up your runs, but also to just keep on clicking. And that's basically what I'm going to be doing here, because passive skills do not let me speed this up in any other way. So, having turned the mosquito larva into the council, I also unlocked the level 3 quest. I'd also previously unlocked the levels 4 and 5 quests, but now I have the level 3 quest as well, and that's to go and talk to the owner of the typical tavern in the distant woods to clear up the tavern ecosystem. He's got too many rats, and he wants a balance rather than no rats. However, I'm not going to do that just yet. I'm going to unlock the hidden temple first. So this is going to take a little bit. There's a whole bunch... Oh no, what did I do wrong? I wasn't paying attention to my health. So let's heal up and keep going. There are a whole bunch of different versions of werewolf in the spooky forest. There's... I'll let you know when we encounter them. And the reason for that is because it's a reference to a specific movie. Here we've got the Warwolf. There's also the Warwolf and the Werewolf. The Warwolf, the Wolfman, and also Beowulf is in this zone. And the Warwolf and the Wolfman are a reference to a specific movie that I have not seen and cannot name because I can't remember it. But apparently...
Monos, The Hands of Fate.
Yeah. Is it Mono? It can't be Monos.
No, it's not.
But in this game, or in this movie, they apparently can never pronounce werewolf the same way twice. And so this is their little reference to that.
Some B-horror movie produced in the Deep South.
Maybe. I don't know.
Werewolf.
Mm-hmm. Now, because I am playing this as a hardcore run, I'm not able to pull items from Hanks that would be helpful for me to absorb. I can't remember if the Spooky Grow Fertilizer is among that, though. Hold up a sec. Yes, I do want to absorb that. That will be nice to have. So what I'm gonna do is go do that, and I'm gonna get a second Spooky Grow. Where's the spooky? There it is. So this gives me optic nerves. It's going to get me more items from monsters. It says, you've developed the mechanism that allows human eyes to talk to human brains. So if you've got either or both of those human eyes, you're in good shape. Actually, since we're playing pretty fast and loose with biology here, let's just say you're in good shape anyway. I have not got eyes yet, so that fast and looseness, yeah, we're good. Actually, that was a wrong decision. Frank, why did you do that? I should not have absorbed that just yet. I should have finished up absorbing the bonus adventures from absorbing items first. So let's
For adventures.
Yeah.
Given the
yes.
option.
Okay. Yes. So let's go clear those up. So we can go to the wrong side of the tracks into the Tunnel of Love. And I can't remember what the E is for, but LO is low orbit here. Ah, yes. Low orbit vehicle elevator. So we've got this muscle guy here, and each of these fights has some kind of trick to it. And if you satisfy the trick, then you will get a potion that'll give you a stat buff. And it's a pretty powerful stat buff. I'm gonna see if I can actually get this guy's. This guy's trick is that if you only use base attacks, so only attacking with the Frigid Derringer, then he'll probably drop his level elixir number 3.
Well, watch your HP. He pounded you.
Yep. So I got him, but apparently something weird happened and he didn't drop it. Oh well. As this is an adventure that is only possible because it's an item of the month, and so even though he pounded me, it heals me immediately. And I'm not going to really take anything else because none of these actually would benefit me. This engineer, if you only kill them with spells, then supposedly they're going to drop their stuff. But I'm not going to be able to do that because I don't actually have any spells. Oh, yes, the Love Mosquito heals me. It does damage to them and it heals me for an equal amount. Forgot to actually follow through with that. Now,
That makes sense.
it has healed me again, and then it gives me an option for 3 buffs here. The Lobotomy is a bonus to substats per fight. It says, the robots in the Love Emergency Room have freed your mind. More precisely, they've surgically removed the bits of your brain that keep you from falling in love with just whatever. Which sounds like a problem, except you also learn things faster, so maybe on balance it'll work out. The Open Heart Surgery is a bonus to familiar weight. It says, the Love Emergency Room robots opened your heart to feelings of empathy and friendship for all living things. And also literally. Don't worry, it'll heal up after a while. Then Wandering Eye Surgery is a bonus to item drops from monsters. It says, the surgical bots at the Love Emergency Room fix one of your eyes to always be roving and searching for what you don't have. It feels pretty weird, but it'll wear off eventually. So because the items at my level are relatively easy to get and I'm running a plus item familiars, the Open Heart Surgery and Wandering Eye Surgery aren't really that useful to me right now, so I'm going to get a Lobotomy. It'll help me level up faster. Now, this Equivocator is a pretty sleazy dude, and what I would need in order to get his drop would be to get the drop on him and pick it out of his pocket. Unfortunately, I do not have 500% initiative. So he's getting the drop on me, and I'm just fighting him for the stats. And he is not elementally aligned, and he is just a dude. So that's the rest of the Manuel information. So Love Gnats, Stink Bug, Mosquito, dead. Oh, hey, I got a pickled egg. That's pretty sweet. And finally, I get an opportunity for, I don't know, shoplifting, to steal something from the gift shop. So what I want to take here is this boomerang, which would, on its own, be pretty useful because it allows me to fight a monster repeatedly, which increases my ability to get drops from that monster, or if it's a monster required for a quest, then it would also help me with that.
Nice.
However, in this case, what I want it for is to increase my adventure yield, because it grants a skill that gives me more adventures per absorbs. So I'm going to head over to my inventory and absorb it. Get that skill. And let's see here. How do I get the last one?
This must have taken them forever to work on, to implement all these absorptions and skills.
It's actually a lot simpler than you think. There is a formula that they applied, and they didn't really review it that much. It's like item ID modulo 125 plus, I don't know, 3,000 or 30,009 will get you to the specific skill range that an item, to determine which skill an item gives you. And there's a couple other items that we're not going to be seeing in this run because I'm running a 100% run that would give you, and those are items that are dropped by what is now the second most recent item of the month. It's a familiar, it's a robo-tender. It's a bartender that's a robot. And the 6 of the items that it gives you, if you absorb them, you gain the ability to modify your combat frequency to get more non-combats or to get more combat adventures. But we're not going to be seeing those in this run because I'm doing the 100%.
What is a 100% run?
100% run is where I use a single familiar for every single combat adventure. Okay. And that includes starting a fight and losing or running away. If I were to do so with any other familiar, it would not count as a 100% run. And
is there any advantage to doing a 100% run? Do you get extra karma?
No. When I was much, much earlier in my KOL history, there was an advantage where it would unlock a new piece of equipment in the astral plane so that I could get some kind of astral gear. I think the astral pet sweater is what it unlocked, which is a piece of equipment that you can bring into this next run. It'll disappear by the end of the run, or at the end of the run, and that specific piece of equipment would be plus 10 to familiar weight. And I have long since gotten all of the 100% runs for that, and so this is just for my own vanity so that I can go back to my Ascension history and see, instead of, say, the Goblin Organ Grinder 96.1%, which is 96.1% of my combat adventures, I had the Organ Grinder out, to see a Gelatinous Cubeling for 100%. I'm pretty sure I've got a few of those around here. So the Mariachi Chihuahua 100% run, and it's just a vanity run. It reduces the complexity of the run by reducing the amount of choices that I have to make in between adventures, and so by having just a single familiar that I run with through the whole of the run, it makes things easier for me to just play. And that's really the only reason.
Okay.
But I do have other choices that I could be making here. These are all in standard, and these grade ones here are more than 3 years old, and so they are not in standard, which means that I can't use them in a standard type run, which includes both standard runs and also challenge runs when they are in season. I've got most of the familiars, but there's some significant omissions, especially from the beginning of KOL. I think I can show you here that, yeah, I created my account in 2008. By then, KOL was 5 years old already, I think. And some familiars had either become prohibitively expensive or were, like, there were no more copies of them in the player mall anymore.
Right.
So they were unacquirable for all intents and purposes. And I don't really miss them anymore, especially because of the standard restrictions. I wouldn't be able to use them anyway. They would just be vanity things to have and be able to show off.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
And they're also not powerful anymore. Goodness, I can't even remember what I was doing. Spooky Forest. There we go. So that was the second... actually, let's see if we can go back to it. Damn it. That was the second Halloween or Choice Adventure, and the item that I just got, the tennis ball, is an item that allows me to manipulate the monster queue, the combat queue, by banishing a monster for, I can't remember, 20 or 30 turns. And that is a very, very useful thing to have. In fact, having banishes as a skill makes the Seal Clubber a much more competitive class in the advanced levels of the metagame than it would otherwise be, because it doesn't really have that much to commend it other than superior fighting ability, and all the other classes can fight adequately and also do other things. Boy, do I need some water, I think.
IRL?
Yes. My voice not... Yeah, okay. I'll be right back.
That's a good wagon.
Water acquired. I also remembered the thing that I was actually doing, which was figuring out what item I needed to absorb next in order to maximize my ability to gather adventures with everything. And it looks like I can't actually get it. There's a list that I'm consulting that you're not seeing on your screen here. Actually, maybe I can make you see it. God, where do I... Window capture...
If you put it... Oh,
How's that? Do you see it?
it's black. Oh, there you go.
There we go. Alright. So, here is a handy-dandy little tool. It's at noblesseoblige.com or .org. noblesse-oblige.org/ezandora/gelatinous noob/index.html. It shows you all of the skills that you can get as a gelatinous noob, And then if you click on a row, for example here, it'll show you which items you can absorb to get the skills. So I'm a dirty cheater and I use all kinds of tools here. Yes. All right, back. So the bacon stone would actually have been useful to me to round out my ability to absorb items. As it is, I'm going to have to wait a little while and get some other item drops here before I can maximize how many adventures I get per absorb. Incidentally, this stat right here is showing me how many absorptions I can make in a given day, and that is both displayed by Mafia, and also the formula is your level plus 2 is your maximum absorptions that you can make in a given day. And that will reset per after each rollover. And when it does, it's just like your stomach or your liver or your spleen. And when it does reset, you'll keep all of your skills. You'll just be able to absorb more stuff.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. Alright. So, now I can access the hidden temple, and that probably took more adventures than it should have, but I'm not trying to be bleeding edge optimal here, so it'll do.
Now, what's more competitive among speedrunners? Is it turns or days or hours or what?
That's okay. Very good question. I'm going to go back to the museum here. And let's see here. We got 2017 Ascension leaderboards. Perfect. So the fastest ascensions are organized first by days. Like if you've got, for example, a 3-day run with a normal ascension, it's not going to show up on the leaderboard here. And so it's first by days and then second by adventures. And
wow,
so
people can do 1-day ascensions? That's crazy.
Yeah, some people can. This is like not a common thing. And then they've got a relatively live feed of who completed an adventure most recently. And I can't remember if that is most recent at the top or most recent at the bottom, but it's one of the two. So if you're part of the bleeding edge, then you're going to be able to complete an ascension in 2 days. I am not on the bleeding edge. It's going to be a little while for me yet. So it's gelatinous noob leaderboards. It looks like the fastest hardcore is 3 days. I have no idea how long this run is going to take me. I'm mostly just in here to have fun. And then fastest normal is 2.
Wow.
Okay. So the next thing that I'm going to do here is the typical tavern, and ordinarily I would delay this until much later in the run, because in the tavern cellar here, each of these squares is going to be randomly generated and you can only encounter it once. And within this, I think around here, there's maybe somewhere in here, there's an adventure that's a non-combat that's going to get me some bonus items. And then around here, I think there will be the adventure that completes the quest. And so I'm going to go over this way and then down and then back up. And so it'll take a total of, I guess, 10 turns? 10 turns. at the maximum, possibly less, possibly just 8 or 7. But the reason that I would ordinarily delay this is because I would want to get my ability to generate and also weather monster level, weather in the sense of like endure monster level, because in this area your bonus monster level gets divided by 300, and then the number that's generated as a result becomes a chance to encounter a monster that will give you an item if you beat it that considerably speeds up the level 11 quest. And so what I'm encountering here are, I guess, big piles of crates labeled miscellaneous booze. This is useless to me. What I'm encountering here are drunken rats, and if I get my monster level high enough, then I can encounter swarms of drunken rats or drunken rat kings. And I can't generate bonus monster level in this run, so there's no point in me delaying it.
All right.
And Mafia is taking care of which squares I'm adventuring in, so I don't have to think about that or go back and look. So where did I actually encounter that? Yeah, I was right here. Okay. Yep. And so here's the rat faucet, and so if I turn off the faucet, then the tavern cellar ecosystem is going to go back to normal. So I talked to Bart Ender, and he gives me some typical tavern swill, which is generally useless in any kind of speed run, but it's really nice to have. It's if you mix it with coconut shells, little plastic or little paper umbrellas, or magical ice cubes, then they become stat aligned drinks that, instead of being merely decent, become good, where the relative levels are crappy, decent, good, awesome, epic for your consumables. So the next thing to do is is to wait on the level 4 quest with the boss bat, because I can't generate stench resistance yet, and having stench resistance is going to speed up that quest pretty considerably.
Is there a bass bot anywhere in the game?
Yes, there's a non-spoonerized version of that. There's the boss bat. And
Spinnerized version?
Spoonerized, yeah. Spoonerisms, you know, catching your swan spins back and forth.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. So what I will eventually be doing here is unblocking each of these passageways, collecting collecting an additional item from this passageway, and then fighting the boss bat in here. But I'm not going to do that until after next rollover. So instead, I think that we can go into the Cobb's Knob Harem and farm up the harem outfit, and hopefully also the Knob Goblin perfume. So I got the veil. Ooh, yes. Gonna take a quick break from this. I just saw that I have some paranormal activity located in the Cobb's Knob Treasury. This is gonna give me one of the... Busting this ghost is gonna give me another piece of equipment that's actually gonna be useful to me. So I'm fighting the ghost of Ebenezer Screech.
Okay.
Yep. And so he gets stunned and shot and shot and shot and trapped. And he gives me Mr. Screech's spectacles, which will drop items and extra meat at the end of fights that I win. So that's nice to have.
Cool.
So I'm casting Gelatinous Reconstruction to heal myself a little bit because I realized that my health was super low. But because I'm a Moxie class, health is a less important thing. Monsters will hit me much less often than they will the other kinds of classes. Oh, I should actually go and get some more adventures, so we're gonna absorb some other things. Have... Don't have for the bonus item drops. I can probably get this other stuff. Man, all of this is so much easier to purchase and absorb when I am in normal mode rather than hardcore mode.
That would make sense.
Yep. Yeah. So I'm going to see
Now in
if I can...
hardcore, everything that you've acquired in the past is locked away from you until you defeat the naughty sorceress, or what's the point at which you get things back?
That's
regain access.
Exactly right. After I complete all 11 of the mainline quests, that's from level 2 to level 12, then I will unlock the quest that takes place here. And at the top of this tower is the Naughty Sorceress. And once I beat her, then I will have access to King Richard? Man, I don't pay attention to the text in this game anymore. Yeah. To the king who will be floating right here, and once I smash the prism that he is imprisoned in, then I will have access to all of my items and meat that I've collected in past runs and outside of past runs. But yes, you're right. That is exactly what hardcore means, is that I don't have access to those things right now.
Access to all 200 harem girl outfits.
Not inaccurate, yeah. So, let's see. So, let's see, here's the bus pass, and that's 5,000 meat, and I definitely can't afford that right now, at least not without auto-selling a bunch of things. That's the other thing that would be important for me to have right now is bonus stats per fight. That's something that is very, very worth having.
There's so many items in this game. It's almost mind-numbing.
Yeah, it's also kind of hard to count them because occasionally they'll just skip 100. Every item is coded by its item ID, and additional attributes are given to it after that. The first thing that happens is the item ID, and so you can count. Like, you can see, okay, item ID 1 is the Seal Clubbing Club, for example. And so you can go through all the different items and see their item IDs. But frequently they'll just skip 100 item IDs, and so you can't, it's a lot harder than you would think to count how many items are in this game, but it's definitely in the thousands. So I'm going to be using Mafia here to make me a couple of items that I can absorb. Yeah, there's one. A cog and sprocket assembly. And so that's going to give me some extra stats per fight. The interesting clod of dirt I should have actually absorbed immediately.
Was RC a part of the Cola Wars, or was that just a sideliner?
That was... No, it was a sideliner, you're right. Okay, so one of these. So I'm going to go absorb the cog and sprocket assembly, which gives me the skill sense of pride, which gives me an extra 5 substats per adventure. The interest in clod of dirt gives me a sense of purpose. And the familiar grow terrarium gives me a work ethic, which I'm sorely lacking in real life. And, oh yes, that was the other one, is the seal tooth. Where did that go? Here we are. That also gives me basic self-worth. And then there's 5 skills for each thing you can do. For example, 5 skills that will each give you bonus stats per fight. And the 5th one, which I'm going to have to get later on in the run, is arrogance. And that will give me 7 stats per fight.
Nice.
So, gonna adventure a
Now,
little while.
at rollover, do you usually get, what's the number, 40 adventures per day?
Yes, 40 base adventures. There's also a couple of skills that will give you a bonus adventure every rollover. But you start the ascension with 40 adventures, and every rollover you'll get 40 more adventures, and also your stomach, spleen, and liver will be cleared so you can eat, drink, and huff more things.
40 seems like an odd number. Why? Do you have any idea why they chose 40?
I don't, but you can have a maximum of 200 adventures coming out of rollover, and that number was chosen so that you could put the game down for a while and not come back to it immediately and not lose too much progress.
Basically a full work week, 5 days.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense considering a lot of this was programmed on Jake's lunch break, so.
Mm-hmm.
You could effectively come to it only on the weekends and be totally fine.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah. Okay, so I've got the Nobgoblin harem outfit, but I don't have the perfume. And so if I equip the outfit, which I'm not going to do yet because the boss is hard, but if I equip the outfit and adventure again in the harem, then it will give me the effect that the perfume would give me, as well as dealing a small amount of damage. And so instead of moving forward with the Cobb's Knob quest, I'm going to start going through Spooky Raven Manor and unlocking the upstairs. So I'm starting here in the same place that I met the Ice Woman, and realizing actually that maybe I want to put this off too. Luckily, I've gained a level, so if I go back to the council, then they'll give me another quest, which I have no reason to put off. And this is going to be to help out the Deep Fat Friars. And so in each of these areas, there is an item that I need to complete a ritual in the Deep Fat Friars Gate, which will then turn into its own zone portal. And I got my ass kicked. That's why I got my ass kicked, is because I'm out of that buff. Did not even notice that I was having my ass handed to me. Because ordinarily, those fights are trivial. Okay, so let's see here. What else can I be doing? I can buff up a little bit and come back. Alright, so instead of just fighting through here. Let's actually use some skills and make that fight considerably easier. I can come through here and not get hit. I also took the opportunity off screen here to get a 10 turn once a day buff from my telescope, which I have built up, and for every unit telescope that I have, I get plus 5% all stats once per day for 10 turns. I just used that. I've got the maximum of 7 units of telescope, so I've got plus 35% stats right now. That'll get me through long enough to get the stat buff from the Halloweener. And this is why I take the Halloweener stat buff, is because it lets me get... Oh, no! No! It lets me access higher level areas than normally my character would be able to do. Unfortunately, the Cops here has special Halloweener adventures that I completely forgot about. I'm so bad at this game. That they'll give me an item that is necessary for a particular quest path that I'm not going to take.
Oh well.
Yeah. Luckily, though, I don't even have to fight these monsters in any significant way because of the skill loadout that I have. Or the item of the month loadout that I have. The stink bug is especially useful here because stench damage is especially effective against hot aligned monsters. There are 5 elements in KOL. There's hot, cold, sleaze, spooky, and stench. There have been petitions for a 6th element, cute, but that has only been implemented in the game in a single item. And it doesn't make sense that it would be implemented in any other item either in the narrative context in which it is introduced, so we're probably never going to see that.
What's this item?
The Bewitching Boots, I think. It's item from one of the old content familiars. The larval sandworm, I think, which will drop Agua de Vida, which lets you see into the past, the present, or the distant past, the slightly less distant past, and the far future. And if you go through the non-linear quest line in each of those areas, then you will get class align or different pieces of equipment based on your class. One of which I believe is the Bewitching Boots. It might be the Bitter Boots or something like that. And they give you cute resistance, but there are no sources of cute damage in the game. Okay, so my one of the mechanics in the game is the semi-rare, which you can make explicit in a few different ways that each will take up either a unit of stomach or a unit of liver. Because I don't have stomach or liver access in this path, I'm unable to make that explicit, but the semi-rare adventure gives you a particularly valuable fight or non-combat adventure, and it's particularly valuable because it'll give you an item that's more powerful than other items in the base game. And so what I'm hoping is that in Cobb's Knob, wherever that is, there we go, I can pretty quickly encounter the Knobgoblin Elite Captain, which will drop the entire Knobgoblin Elite outfit, which will let me get into the Knobgoblin dispensary and be able to buy those potions that I mentioned earlier.
All right.
Now, these lice don't normally drop anything. The shiny stones that you saw in the last fight are because of the Screech's spectacles, which I'm wearing. Ordinarily, I would not notice some extra meat hidden inside a helmet on a shelf. Yay, the captain. Alright, so wearing the outfit, adventuring again in here, and I get the password to the dispensary. If I went... no. Also no. If I went to the dispensary prior to having that password, they would slam the window covering thing, like the rolling aluminum window covering, down onto my fingers, and I'd lose 20 health. As it is, I get to buy any of these wonderful items here. They're actually quite useful. Alright. So what was I doing? I was in the cops. Yay, first item gotten. And most of the enemies that you fight in this area have some kind of imp pun. So we've got the P imp. There's also a CH imp later on. There's a gimp that you can fight. This area, here we go. We've got a whole bunch of imp jokes here. So this imp moons you, and then it says that you've reached an impasse. It's a pretty good joke. That I have no idea how they were able to come up with all of this. I imagine that if I were to approach it systemically, I'd be looking in a dictionary for all the words that start with imp. But they must also have had some kind of access to a rhyming dictionary to be able to find all like the G imp and P imp and stuff like that. That is, unless they just thought of it themselves, which is totally possible because they're smart guys. Oh, no. I want to use the skills. Yes. Okay. Oof. Now, this guy didn't drop it this time, but if you combine 2 evil golden arches, you get an item that will give you a sandwich that has some bonuses and disadvantages to it. It'll give you some of one stat and take away some of another stat.
Are those eyebrows supposed to look like a McDonald's logo?
Yes. And so as it is, he drops pink slime, which is a cooking ingredient that you can cook with dry noodles into something or other. I can't remember what. But it's it's decent. It's good food to cook at this level, especially if you don't have other sources of food. Alright, time to figure out what else I should be absorbing here.
Pink slime with noodles kind of reminds me of something that my wife makes that's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's this pink fish roe. You mix it up with some sesame oil and chopped Thai chilies,
Mm-hmm.
and then slice up some garlic, grill that, and then add that all in together with olive oil and pasta. It's pretty good.
Cool.
Pretty tasty.
That might be useful. Let's store.
Is your desktop background fire?
No, I'm running Opera, and so that is the base. This is one of the base backgrounds for a new tab.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Why Opera?
It isn't Google.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm staring at a Google search, but yeah. I was staring at a Google search bar, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can use the Google search bar, and I do, but I don't know, man. I'm one of those really inconsistent paranoid hippies, I guess. So what
I'm not judging your choice of browser by any means.
Just my inconsistency, I know.
Just curious why, why you were on Opera. If there's any distinct advantage, but I guess.
Oh, there actually is a different advantage. I think if it were better integrated into other apps on iOS, then I would be using it everywhere because it syncs across devices very, very well. And also it has native ad blocking, so I don't need an ad blocker, although I do have a few in addition. And also it comes with its own in-browser VPN, so I like it a lot. It also runs on the same engine as Chrome, it just doesn't report straight to Google. And yeah, those were really the selling points, was that it had a native ad blocker and a native VPN.
Those are distinct advantages for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All good reasons to go with it.
So this next thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the Hermit, and people have been wanting to kill the Hermit for basically as long as KOL has been a game. And what this guy does is, if you have a worthless item and a Hermit permit, then you can trade a useless item for any of these things. And I'm going to trade for a wooden figurine. And this wooden figurine is going to give me stench resistance when I absorb it, which will let me start getting into, there it is, into the bat hole whenever this is done. So I've got 29 adventures. That'll be enough to get me into the bat hole. So I'll run through this real quick. Now this P-Imp drop, the diamond studded cane that this P-Imp drops is kind of interesting. It is a melee weapon that provides a moxie bonus to Disco Bandits and Disco Bandits only. And that's for thematic reasons, like there's the diamond studded cane and Disco, it's classic Eternal pair. Particularly Eternal because Disco at this point is undead. But the reason that it's interesting is because it's a melee weapon and Moxie classes use ranged weapons, like guns and crossbows and stuff. And it's actually become slightly more relevant due to a somewhat recent change where Disco Bandits have the ability to use knives as though they were ranged weapons, but they're still melee weapons. So if you can dual wield, which is an ability that is granted by a Steel Clubber skill, so if you can dual wield a knife in your main hand and the diamond studded cane in your offhand, then you'll be able to do just as much damage as normal with the knife, and you'll still get the Moxie bonus from the diamond studded cane. It's not something that most people do because stat bonuses are relatively unimportant in the game, but it's there if you want it. Actually, before I proceed with this, I am going to go kill the Knobgoblin King. Because, no, not Harem. Because my stats are high enough that I could feel like I'd be able to go in there and not be one-shot.
Wow, I can't believe I just got that Cobb Snob, the Grassy Knoll, and the Bat Hole. Yeah, we're all connected.
Hmm. So he dropped some extra meat and a hat, which has a higher damage absorption than my previous hat did, so I'm going to be using that for a while now. And the ninja hot pants are also pretty nice. Have I not? No. Oh my god, I can't. That's probably what my problem was. I wasn't using the freaking Derringer. Frank. Alright. So that quest is done. And now we're going into the dark neck of the woods. The reason that I went in the this pattern that is because the monsters are weakest here and strongest here. No other reason beyond that. Now, hopefully we'll be able to see the Hellion in here. We also got the Wimp. It's good. There's the Hellion. This Hellion cube that this can drop used to be one of the most important food items that could drop, and so normally you would be maximizing your chance of encountering this specific monster if you had the ability to do so. It became considerably less useful recently because basically it got nerfed, but its food, if you cook it to its maximum, if you cook the Hellion cube with the sorcerer reagent, the scrumptious reagent, then it'll become hell broth, and if you cook that with dry noodles, then you'll get hell ramen, which has pretty decent adventure yields, and gives you some decent amount of stats, and also gives you some meat. And it used to be one of the best food items in the game, but that era has passed. Oh, I got my ass kicked again, and I wasn't paying attention. Let's try this again.
What is Hell Ramen a reference to?
Eating cheap when you're a college student?
Okay. Ramen noodles that taste like hell.
Yep.
That's good.
This, like the impunity ring, that's good. I got some good jokes in this game. Did you ever see that Charlie Murphy sketch?
Of what?
Oh, a sketch that was told by Charlie Murphy in the Dave Chappelle show about Rick James.
Maybe not.
It's the source of the mimetic phrase, "I'm Rick James, bitch." And why I'm bringing it up is because at one point, in this story that Charlie Murphy is telling, Rick James punches a guy with brass knuckles that read Unity, so that he implants Unity on a guy's cheek, and then he brings his fist back and says, "Unity," and it's, I think, the most underrated portion of that sketch. Yep. Alright, so I've finished up the level 6 quest, and I've got 4 adventures left, so let's go down to the Bat Hole. Now, because I absorbed an item that gave me stench resistance, I can use a clover here. A disassembled clover that I've now reassembled into a 10-leaf clover. And if I adventure in the Guano Junction with that, then it gives me 2 sonars in a biscuit. And I can use each of those to break down the passageway, or the blockages to these passageways. So I'm going to adventure first in the beanbat chamber, and hopefully, yes, I got the sonar and the biscuit. So now, the sonar and the biscuit drop rates in the beanbat chamber are lower than they are in the bat and rat burrow, and so you want to get the enchanted bean from the beanbat chamber first, and then if you can, you want to get the sonar and the biscuit in that first adventure as well, and you want to spend just one adventure in the beanbat chamber. And if you do not get the sonar and the biscuit, then you want to farm it from the bat rat and rat bat burrow. If you are very unlucky with your item drops, then eventually a scream bat will show up, which will break down the last passageway. And so in the boss bat layer here, the beefy bodyguard bats have pretty high meat drops, and so if I were going to be using a meat drop familiar, for example, then I would definitely want to be, or if I weren't doing 100% familiar run, I would definitely be running a meat drop familiar here. And if I had the ability to boost my meat drops, I would also do that, but I can't do either, so I'll just have to take the 200 meat that they're giving me. And I might not, definitely didn't encounter the boss bat, but I'm out of adventures and out of ways to generate adventures at this point. So that was day 1. I've gotten to level 7. I've completed a few quests. I feel like I've had a decent day. I made a few mistakes, but overall I think it was a pretty alright day 1.
Cool.
Oh, and then there's one last thing that I'm going to do, is to go to another item of the month that I've collected. So I'm going to CMGS. This is the Chateau Mantegna, or Mantegna. I just got it. It's the house in the mountains, the Chateau Mantegna. And I can, because of my specific chateau layout, this fan will give me extra rests in this bed. And then this juice bar gives me potions. As part of my Mafia logging in, I've already got the juices out of, or the potions that come from the juice bar. And then this bowl of potpourri here will give me extra moxie stats every time that I rest in this bed. And so actually, interestingly enough, resting in bed, like sleeping basically, is currently one of the optimal ways to grind stats in the game, where normally it would have been to farm a specific non-combat on the second floor of the Spooky Raven Manor. And then this painting here is something that I'm not going to interact with right now. This is a monster that is in a very high non-combat area that where the challenge is just encountering the monster 5 times. And having it right here is going to allow me to encounter it once a day whenever I want. It's not the most optimal choice, but it's a force of habit. And so that is available to me. So the last thing that I'm going to do right now is just to rest in bed 5 times and then call the gift shop and have the artificial skylight installed. And that's going to give me bonus adventures over rollover. So I will start tomorrow with 45 adventures rather than 40. Oh, there's also equipment that you can get that would allow you to have more adventures per rollover, but that's useless to me in this run because equipment effects don't have any effect on me. Standard equipment effects don't. Yeah. So, I hope that this has been interesting and informative and not too embarrassing. I know I'm not the most optimal person, and I imagine that there are some people in my clan that are going to yell at me for that if ever they find out about this. Which is probably why we're going to keep doing it so late.
Stay under the radar.
Yep. So, I guess one last thing is credit to the user Lord Stefano, who took me under his wing when I was a fragile little noob and actually taught me how to play this game with any amount of efficiency. And if I'm able to do anything well at all, it's initially due to him and then also due to the rest of the community, which is very forthcoming with ways to speed up your runs and other kinds of help. So thanks to the community, thanks to Lord Stefano, and yeah, I guess we'll see you again at some mystery hour, probably tomorrow. Yeah.
Sounds good. We'll be there.
Cool. Now how do I hang this up?